So here you are. You just landed your dream job in a brand new city and you're about to embark on the journey of a lifetime. We know that you are probably feeling a little nervous about some of the barriers and challenges that you may face. So we are here to help. Today, we will act as your tour guides through Mexico City and help you to prepare for this exciting new chapter. Nathan will be our first tour guide today and take you through a bit of Mexico's rich history and ethics. Take it away, Nathan.
Hi guys, I'm Nathan. To kick off your tour, we will start with the history of Mexico City. Mexico City has an abundance of history that can be learned about, with how their government came to be, but also what the real problems are in the city that is affecting the people here that foreigners do not typically know about. To To begin with, Mexico City is the fifth oldest city in North America and was founded in 1325. And with 22.8 million people living here, it is the most populated city in the Western Hemisphere today. As history goes, the Aztecs were searching for a place to live, and their prophecies told them that they will know the spot when they see an eagle perched on a pear cactus while holding a snake in its beak. Then in 1325, they discovered this eagle in the Valley of Mexico. Interesting enough, the country's flag has the eagle on the cactus with the snake as its symbol. In 1917, the Mexican Constitution called for a democratic institution, but the actual implementation of the democratic practice only began in the 2000s. For most of the 20th century, Mexico was ruled by one party, the PRI. That democracy really began when the PRI was ousted from the presidency. Slowly but surely, the PRI's strongholds began to loosen when a civic cultural movement manifested in response to the economic struggles breaking out across the country. Mexico City has plenty of contemporary issues. The city for a while has had to rely on groundwater supplies, but since that is not enough anymore, they need to pump in water. Air pollution is something you will need to get used to here due to the city being up so high. Another thing to get used to is the living situation. It is estimated that 44% of housing is overcrowded and that around 6 people are in each household. So be ready to encounter large crowds of people in the city. When looking for housing, places outside of Mexico City could be a great option by commuting, which is a safe and reliable way to get around here. Now to our next tour guide, here is Brittany.
Hi, my name is Brittany, and I'm going to be your second tour guide for the day. I'm going to be explaining and elaborating on the value patterns of Mexico City. Mexico City's value patterns are quite different from the mainstream value patterns that a populated city in the United States would have. Traditional themes include, but are not limited to, family, ethnic identity, religion, and respect. Mexico City's value patterns play a major role in contributing to the way the city runs. In the Hofstede study, Mexico has a score of 30 in individualism, which means it is more of a collectivist community than an individualist one. The members of this culture value interdependence and develop their identities from a group. Mexico City shies itself away from the competitive atmosphere, and instead, the culture bases itself around collaboration, consonance, and allegiance. Mexican culture emphasizes the importance of collectivism and the improvement of a group. The city's culture promotes this value by presenting how self-reliance and independence can easily be outweighed by teamwork and partnership. Those in Mexico City come together and will form a relationship behind any group, work, or social setting. Mexico City has a very high power distance. Those in Mexico City acknowledge the hierarchical order of the government. The higher the power distance, the less of a connection there is between those in positions of authority and those who are not. This suggests that those in Mexico City don't really feel comfortable with uncertainty or unclear situations. The high distance dynamic in this culture can be an issue when it comes to communication. When a culture has a dynamic like this, there is less progression and innovation in an environment, which can create indifferences. This means that those of authority need to design effective ways where communication leads to productivity in an environment. Figures of authority need to develop strong relationships with fellow companions, and this is where the collectivist culture re-enters and balances out the community. Mexican culture traditionally upholds the standard of two main gender roles, la calle, the street, and la casa, the home. La calle represents the male gender role. Since a male's role is to support his family, he is allowed to leave his house whenever without having to ask for permission before going out to the streets. Men have more freedom when it comes to working, drinking, or any other behavior that can draw criticism. Since men usually provide the household with financial needs, their behaviors are typically overlooked. La casa represents the female gender role, since a woman's role is to take care of the home and the kids. Women do not have as many opportunities when it comes to working outside of the home and can be criticized that they are often seen outside of their house without a man. These roles began to change as a woman and a man both age, leaving both with more authority. Although traditional roles are still common in Mexico City, these norms have shifted over the past decades. More Mexican families have started conforming to what is more modern for their family relationships. In recent years, Mexico City has taken remarkable steps to encourage and boost equality and end gender gaps. This includes the startup of gender quota laws for legislators in 2002, the 2015 to 2018 National Program for Equality Between Women and Men, and the advancement of gender parity from political parties. While at first glance, these efforts may look minimal compared to other countries, but this is a big deal and a step in a new direction for a culture that typically has strict gender roles and expectations. Next up on the tour, Isaac will tell you all about the language and the communication style here in Mexico City.
To begin this section of the tour, I'll discuss one of people's greatest traveling apprehensions, a foreign language. It was definitely something I was worried about when I first moved here, but just 1 month in, I felt much better about my situation. As you might have guessed, Spanish is the primary language spoken in Mexico City. According to thoughtco.com, over 93% of the people in Mexico City exclusively speak Spanish. This means that doing something like conducting business, which is what you'll be doing, can be significantly hindered if you don't speak Spanish. According to Statista.com, over the last 20 years, over 40 million Americans have traveled to Mexico. Heavily populated areas in Mexico, like Mexico City, have arranged and conducted language learning facilities for this very reason. Companies like the Frida Spanish Learning Institute, located just 20 minutes from the heart of the city, offer special one-on-one personalized lessons that cater to the individual. For instance, you may inform the school that you are moving to Mexico City on business. They will cater lessons based around the reasons for you being there, so you can feel much more comfortable in a place that you've never been to. Knowing the language can make you feel more comfortable and enable you to learn the more finite aspects of the culture. Much like the United States, along with Mexico City, majority of the rest of the country has a low context communication style. Low context communication style means that you will be doing generally non-confrontational communication. This means that verbal communication is the kind of thing you'll be doing the most, which is another reason to learn faster or to learn Spanish as fast as you can. When immersed into something that you are not typically comfortable with, your brain processes things quicker. A study conducted by Yale Research showed that when your brain is in a stable environment, it's not learning. Coincidentally, this is good news because in turn, this means that you'll learn Spanish faster once you are immersed into the culture that you are not familiar with. Since Mexico is low context, this means that the culture is clearly oriented around the speaker. According to the book, Understanding Intercultural Communication, communication is considered a self-enhancement style of verbal communication. This means that the speaker will typically not hesitate to speak their mind and share their experience to benefit a conversation. This style is less humble in regards to the speaker, and as a result of this style of self-enhancement communication, general contact is centered around the task and is oriented around action. Much like Americans, Mexicans are what you would call doers. People in Mexico City will put more effort and emphasis on physical and tangible needs in order to complete a task. If you are going to Mexico City on business, be ready to cut to the chase and work towards a goal, much like here at home. Now I'll hand it back to one of your tour guides, Lindsay, and she will fill you in on everything you need to know about nonverbal communication in Mexico City.
Thanks, Isaac. Let me quickly say this is way better than the job I used to have. I worked as a zipline tour guide. It had its ups and downs, but it was a great way to get my career off the ground. Now I get to tour awesome folks like yourselves around the beautiful Mexico City and tell you a little bit about its culture and nonverbal communication patterns. On this segment of our tour, we will be discussing yet another important aspect to consider as a new resident of Mexico City: the impact of nonverbal communication. Up to 70% of our communication is conveyed through nonverbal cues like body language or facial expressions. Let's learn a little bit more about what you might experience in Mexico City's warm culture. People in Mexico City can be very affectionate and tactile communicators. Physical touch is not uncommon in conversations or greetings. Frequently, one will get a pat on the back or shoulder squeeze when others are engaged or enjoying the conversation. A hug or firm handshake are acceptable greetings while in Mexico City. If you do receive this affectionate behavior, it is a friendly gesture to show approachability and welcoming. People here often use dramatic facial expressions to emphasize what they are saying. The raising of the eyebrows is a frequent expression made when one is questioning something. They also use many hand gestures and head movements while speaking, and Spanish is often described as a passionate language. Typically, Spanish speakers in Mexico City speak at a higher volume and faster pace than English speakers. It is often described as a romantic sounding language and comes across rather alluring to non-Spanish speakers. PDA or romantic displays are more common there, and they are less frowned upon. It is considered a high contact language and culture where they touch and kiss each other frequently, look at each other in the eye, and speak in louder voices. Mexico's history and tradition are at the heart of its culture. Another way this is represented is through their physical appearance. For the most part, citizens of Mexico City dress casually and appropriately for the nice weather. The climate is warm and mild year-round, with the temperature rarely dropping below 50 degrees. However, for special occasions or cultural celebrations, more traditional and formal attire can make an appearance. Quinceañeras are a party thrown for a girl's 15th birthday to mark her transition from childhood to adulthood. Typically, she wears a big ball gown and a tiara, and everyone else dresses up for the event as well. Another cultural staple of Mexican dress is debuted during many celebrations and is known as the Mexican hat dance. The Mexican hat dance, or Jarabe Tapatio, is Mexico's national dance. It began as a courtship dance and dates back to the 18th and 19th centuries. Today, it is commonly performed by dance groups as a celebration of their culture. The outfits of the dancers are beautifully decorated in vibrant colors and represent traditional attire worn by Mexican men and women. The dance itself is intended to be lively, which is why the music is typically played by mariachi bands or bands that use only string instruments. As you can see from what you've learned today, Mexico City is a beautiful destination with so much to offer. For all of these reasons and more, people from Mexico typically feel a great deal of pride and patriotism for their great country. They display their flags proudly and indeed have many things to be proud of, from their rich culture and delicious cuisine to the beauty of the land itself. Our time for today is up, but we hope you learned some valuable information and tools about navigating your new home. Thank you for allowing us to take you on this journey. Mexico City has its differences that some may not be accustomed to, but once you take the time to understand the culture along with its values and functions, you will realize that it is a society rich with culture. We hope you enjoyed your time with us today as we toured you through your beautiful new city. Thank you.